Hi, I am Robin Good, and this is my vision for the future of education. What I believe is that we are going to see a major shift in how we look at education, teaching, the schooling system. There are things already available to us, things that we know that can drastically and suddenly change how we approach education for us and our children. What I call the paradox of 2.0 is that in media, television, radio, advertising, marketing, we have already embraced completely new principles that disrupt what was the status quo of traditional mass media. And from the time of mass media, we have created an institution system, an education system that is very much like and similar to it. That is, that has a communication approach that is top down, that makes those that receive the information believe and assume that that is the only way to look at that information, that is delivered at a specific place and time, where audiences for the traditional media were grouped together by just the number of eyeballs, and in schools are grouped together only on the basis of their age and in the district where they live. The paradox of 2.0 is the fact that we have understood that grassroots, bottom up, listening instead of just talking, taking down the facade of marketing hype and saying you're the best, and instead coming and talking and having real conversation, showing your mistakes, being transparent, disclosure, opening up to questions, listening to suggestions is the key to whatever kind of success you want to have. Then when we turn back and go home and look at our kids, we take them into the Middle Ages or before, to 0.1 principles, and they are to be placed into a room for also many hours in a day, and then they have to basically just memorize information all day long, and this information is given to them by kind of a wizard magician. He's the only one who knows it. They can really question it, they can really choose who's their teacher. They have really nothing to say in the curriculum that is given to them. They're not together there because they have a common passion. They're just together again because of demographics or other stuff. So in an age where we need to work in a way that is collaborative and not competitive, where you're judged on the basis of what you can actually be and on the reputation of what others say. I mean, having understood all this, how can we at the same time be so idiosyncratic, schizophrenic, not to see that we ourselves have completely forgotten to harmonize all of this new stuff to this key world, to this key institution that is school. Because unless we prepare ourselves and we share with our children all of that we've found, that learning happens any moment, any place, and that is done by sharing, collaborating, and asking, questioning yourself, how can we ever expect to improve the situations that we have right now? So teaching is equal to learning. Well, I have some doubts about this, and so this assumption that teaching equals learning, that you have to go into a classroom to learn something, that having a teacher is the way to get your knowledge, maybe should be looked at with some question marks right now. So teaching, though we would like to think that it is an institution that prepares our kid to the future by giving them their very basic knowledge, besides of course the very basic reading, writing, math, and so on, really provides very little, because tries only to have kids memorize lots of information with which kids have very little relationship to. They're segregated out of real life. They don't get into any insight of how that information combines with the experiences they're having outside of there. So in school, what they really do, they learn more to socialize rather than learning the actual things that they're there for. The things they're being taught there are kind of an excuse in a setting for knowing how to relate to somebody who's on authority, how to be obedient, how to be with some other people when you're together in a group, how to execute an assignment, how to be reliable, how to show up in time. I think these are more the kinds of things that school teaching really provide. But if you look from an alien, an extraplanetary being coming to Earth, at schools indeed you find that the things are just the opposite of what we've learned in the era of 2.0. Things are all black or white, you cannot question, learners have no voice, everything is really like traditional mass media. So is this knowing we get in school really knowing that is valuable to us? And what is really knowing at this point? Because if having information in my head that I know about is knowing, then I cannot do really much with it. If I go and hike up to, after months of preparation, on the highest mountain on earth, and then if you get dropped on top of the same mountain with an helicopter, are we having the same experience? Do we know the same stuff? We can both say we've been on top of the highest mountain, but the way we get there and the experiences that we go through to get there make a tremendous difference in our ability there then to share something valuable with others. That's the point. So you can say, I know this song because you've just heard it on the radio. But what about me? I've heard that song a million times. I know all the words. I can sing it. I've danced with it. And I've also found my fiance while dancing 20 times on it. Do we know that song the same way? You see, there's so many gradients, and what we get in school is very much the lightest gradient, that is, I know about that song, that is, I've heard it. But it isn't like I've sung it, I know all the words, I've found a fiance, I've written the lyrics, I wrote the music myself, I remixed it, I mashed it up with some other piece of music that I like, then I would really know something. If you go back in time, in 200-300 years, would you be able to reconstruct the electric bulb, the locomotive, the television set, the radio, telegraph, telephone? Though you've gone to school maybe for 15, 17, 18 years, you've learned all that stuff. Can you use it? Not really. So we should acknowledge and realize that stuffing heads with lots of information is not really learning. It's not that teachers are bad or schools are bad, but we need to look with open eyes at what we have in front of us. So what we have in front of us is a beautiful story that says, look, to be successful in life, you got to know a secret. Actually, it is a series of secrets that we can reveal to you one by one if you come to a place called school, in which there is a magician who is going to reveal the secrets to you one by one. And if you memorize the right answers and pass the tests, we're going to give you the keys to access more and more keys until we can give you a piece of paper with which you can get out and get a good job. That's basically the story we're selling to ourselves every single day. We support this way of learning and preparing ourselves for the big changes, the tremendous complexity, the unpredictable future that is coming at us like a tsunami. So we should really realize that we learn instead every moment, every second that we are open to, and most of the time in informal, just-in-time moments in which we're open to question ourselves, open our eyes, wonder how we could do something, ask, try, experiment, be wrong and be wrong and be wrong again. What you're just not allowed to be in school, to be wrong. To be wrong means to fail in school, but to learn, you need to be wrong. When you learn how to drive, you need to be wrong, and you need to bump and have the engine go off. When you learn a new language, you don't learn it by going to classes and classes and classes and doing drills. You learn because you learn the words of a song you love. You have a girlfriend of another country, you travel and you try to talk that language. Just like the same when you learn to swim. It wasn't the amount of theoretical stuff that you learn, but you gotta dive into the water and try to move and see if you can stay afloat. Think of games. I mean, could you ever learn a game by going to a lecture or a series of them? I mean, you gotta die a million times or lose your properties in whatever game and bang your head against the wall and try again and again and make lots of mistakes and then learn about little tricks and then ask the help and then go to your friends and see how they play and then go online, Google and find out how to do certain things. I mean, go on blogs, search on forums. That's how we learn every single day. Anything we do, doesn't matter what it is. Video games, driving cars, what I do about new media and explaining people how they work, I do it like this, by asking people, downloading tools, experimenting, trying to do real things and see what kind of things I find out. So to learn, you really need to dive, to relate, to love and become one thing with the stuff you want to know. That's the bottom of it. Let me give you two very simple examples. I have a music school that I attend and in which I learn different rhythms that I play on the congas and different kinds of percussions I learned there. My teacher is fantastic music player, but when he teaches me, he has this straightforward approach whereby he tries to explain step by step, beat by beat, all of the mathematics that make up what I will have to do with my hands and my brain to play a certain rhythm. So instead of just going, oh, now you're gonna do he's gonna say, okay, on the first beat, you're gonna lift the left hand of 3/4 and the right one is gonna stand there with your elbow a little bit down, show me, okay? And then on the upbeat, on the second quarter, you're gonna do a tune over there, but be careful because this hand has to be all straight and it has to move down in a right angle, 45 degrees. I mean, it goes on with all this stuff. And then he says, now you try it. And then, my brain just goes berserk because I have a million things to remember, to know, to move, and I just can't go with the music. There is too much stuff to try to fit together. So I just crash. But I have learned one thing, that if at that moment he gets very pissed because of this, because he knows I can play, I can learn pretty fast stuff, but he hasn't understood how learning really takes place. So he's going to go mad and he's gonna re-explain and he's gonna play that sound again. And while he's gonna play it now, I'm not going to listen to all the instructions he's gonna make. I'm going just to record whatever sound and groove he's gonna play. Just recording with my brain and closing any other input of information he's giving me. And so then as soon as he stops and he's gonna tell me all that other stuff again, and he says go, I'm just gonna press the play button inside my head and tell my hands, go and play that sound. Now, I can do it. Maybe my hands is not perfectly 45 degrees and he's gonna get mad because I moved it a little bit too early and so, but I have been able to relate. And if there was some music to like and feel that to a point where I could really have a relationship. And that relationship, when you start to like it, it's a little love. And that's what you really need to have, a good relationship with something to know it. Because once it's part of me, that groove, then he can teach me anything he wants. I'm actually hungry to know all of these details of how to move my hands and how to find out more about it. Or let me give you the other example, the one of the turtle. I was with my kid who is in school age, he studies mathematics. He wasn't very satisfied, and we were on the motorbike, and I told him, do you know about a turtle? He said, no, what is it? I said, it's this program software that Seymour Papert invented many years ago just for kids to relate to mathematics and geometry in a way that is spontaneous, natural, where they can play and be actually the cause in the mathematics. They are the actors. They are the numbers. They are the geometry. Oh, Daddy, what are you talking about? I want to see that. That sounds funny. I cannot really identify, but let's look at it. So we download this stuff, we install it, and there is a turtle. You can move with a very simple programming language. Forward, so many degrees left or right, and how many steps you want to do. And the turtle moves and makes lines, draws objects. So he in a few minutes he started to be able to make a triangle, and then he could save a name, and just by saying that name created a triangle and then a square. And then I told him, now Ludovico, why don't you make a circle? I said, well, Daddy, I'm not really sure I know how to make a circle. How do you give a command to to make a curve? And so he got stuck in there, and I said, why don't you try to make a polygon, a square, I said to him, of 25 sides. Oh, sure, that I can do. I've done a triangle, 3 sides, square, 4 sides. I'll just do, 20 more sides to my square of before, and I can get you positively a polygon. And blam, there you got it. As soon as he saw it, he said, but Daddy, this looks like very much a circle. What about if I put 360 here instead of 25, and blam, he's got a circle. And now he's one thing with the circle. He was one with the circle, and the circle was one with him. I mean, he had created the circle not because somebody told him, but because he had arrived at creating a circle by adding up the notions he had in his head. This is what learning is. Asking, trying out, making mistakes, looking at models, asking people that know more than you, making more mistakes, experimenting, and then coming up with something that is meaningful and has a sense for you. So your question may be at this point, okay, given that this is okay, that yeah, I can see that teaching is not equal to learning, and that talking to people and trying to stuff them with information that doesn't really give the results that you can get by opening up your ears and trying to be the actor who wants to find out whatever you're interested and are passionate about. What would it be that we're going to see with different eyes when it comes to what we really need to learn, and the setting and the context and the resources we need to have to drastically change learning so much that we could say there is a paradigm shift? Well, let me give you some inspirational points of view by bringing you into a paradoxical situation in which you are on a spaceship, you're traveling to a distant planet, you're with 2 kids, your own 2 kids, and you're going to be traveling for 3 months, after which you're going to land on this planet in which there is a higher intelligence civilization, and you'll have to drop your 2 kids right there and say bye-bye to them, and we'll have to go away with your spaceship. So my question to you is, what would you teach your children during that journey? What would be really the valuable stuff you're going to tell them? Huh? So by asking yourself this question, I'm going to suggest to you some inspirational things that are really stuff that you would need to know anywhere you can be, no matter what kind of business or situation or government you have, but that are the fundamental things to know to be somewhat successful, to go through life in a good, positive, meaningful way. And this would be how to live healthy, how to know what are poisons, what are toxins, what are the things to eat, possibly how to grow some foods, and to know the biology of your body and how to keep your machine running as good as it can. How to read, but not in the sense of how to read the words, but how to make meaning of what you're reading. How to go home after you read something that is part of you, that is not just information you've stuck in your head. So understanding more of how things are written and how to capture and retain in a way that is meaningful whatever you're trying to engage with. How to learn in the sense of understanding the methods, the techniques with which you can relate to the stuff you want to learn. You can make it enjoyable, playful, and make it part of your exploration in a way that is fruitful, that is not something you hate to do, that is something you want to do more and more. This is not something you want to end with a test, but something you want to keep doing forever. How to be creative, because it doesn't need to be something reserved for artists and painters. This is just about learning how to solve complex and difficult situations, how to face complexities and issues with an attitude of looking at things from different sides and finding proper solution. The more and the more varied the patterns of approaching things you build into your experience, the more you can be creative, because by using solutions you have applied in different fields to other fields, you can become very creative in whichever field you're going to operate. How to empathize with other people. That means how to be able not just to talk and feed information out and trying to be always the one that has the last word on something, with listening more, with trying to put yourself in the shoes of whoever is in front of you and understand what they're trying to say between their words. What is the real problem, what they're trying to communicate, and try to come forward with that without needing always to establish yourself, but trying to embrace the other part in understanding. Sometimes it's a waste of time because the other person may not be somebody really trying to do any communication to you, but in many cases there is this opportunity and it gets wasted. How to tell truth from fiction. I mean, today this is the essence of it. Should we just look at what television and news gives to us with the default attitude that that is the stuff and that is the way we should believe it is? Or should we learn how to look at alternative font of information, how to question mainstream information, where to search for alternative sources of information, and how to look and understand who is really telling the truth? How do you do that? Who is telling us how to do this? This is of the essence, and these are times in which we badly need it. How to predict consequences for the choices we make every single day. There are many lighthearted choices we make every day that can have very many bad consequences for other people. We must learn and show and facilitate our kids in understanding as well the importance of this, the importance of thinking before doing things. Some stuff can have tremendously positive consequences, some other stuff can have very negative ones. We need to start pondering and asking more questions before doing things of whatever kind, so that we can actually be more intelligent beings. We need to value ourselves more. And unlike the school that reprimands, scolds, and segregates increasingly those that make mistakes, which are the ones that we need more and more support, we need to learn to support and encourage and give more confidence to those who want to learn, by bringing them in situations where they are encouraged to try out and make mistakes as much we allow ourselves to do in games. Absolutely important to give confidence, and not scolding and reprimands in the world of learning and education. Thinking also how to live in a way that has a meaning, asking what the direction is, don't going through whatever the others are doing or the offerings of the system are, the prepackaged solutions, but being able to ask yourself the most important question of all, that is, what are you after? How do you realize the dream of your life, whatever it is now that you want to do, and how can you go after it? Because unless you do that, you're really wasting your time. So helping people learn how to find out who they really are, not what other people have told them, and help them get on their direction. And understand how important it is today to know how to communicate effectively across all levels: interpersonal communication, mediated new media, telecommunications of all kinds, from Skype to know how to use your digital camera, video, PowerPoint, whatever it is. There is a tremendous need for each one of us to be able to share our knowledge with others. And if we can't talk, if we aren't able to listen and therefore communicate clearly with others, because communication is two-way, we can't get anywhere. So we must spend more time learning how to communicate effectively and not just how to stuff information about things in our heads. And then, one very, very, very critical thing, let's ask more questions. Let's not just take things for granted because they come from the authorities, from the big media, from the super certified professor, doctor, lawyer, whoever he or she is. Ask more questions. Look up to the sky and look at how things are. Question what you see. Don't just take it for granted. I mean, the best questions kids are asking in school is what's going to be in the test, because we are training them to prepare for tests and test about notions that they have to memorize in their heads. But are these the situations they're going to find in real life? Shouldn't they be starting to learn how to ask more difficult questions to themselves? And let's learn also how to have real fun, possibly without chemicals, without getting stuffed inside basement with music blasting your ears and the impossibility to talking or doing anything. Not that I don't like dancing, that would be a wonderful way to have fun, but we need to rediscover natural, spontaneous, body rich, full of creative expression ways to have fun together with other people so that we can play and enjoy ourselves and bring positive energy to other people. We have long forgotten how to do this, and we've gotten ourselves into consumerist habits of thinking of how we should have fun, which aren't really so much fun, I think. Okay, so can we introduce now some new ways of having fun? Can we go dancing again all together on the street for some time every few weeks in every major city of the world? Let's do it. And now, what would be in the context of resources and test settings that is really necessary to have great learning all around us? Well, we have all of the resources, and even Illich, with his book Discipline Society in the 1970s, already predicted and used terms that are just unbelievable. He used the term learning webs. He saw that we actually needed some way, some infrastructure where we could actually exchange our knowledge as we do in fairs and convention, in bar camps, in coffee bars, when we meet with people that are interesting and that are passionate like us about something. And so we need to take the opportunity that we have these social networks and communities online to create skills exchanges where people can offer their skills to others and decide at which condition and how they want to deliver it. And people who want to learn can find the people who want to give that information, skills, practice out to others. It doesn't depend whether it's paid or not. It's important that we allow this to happen. And we need to put in contact, like we're doing with our social networks, more affinity with people that are passionate about specific things. So we will see these networks, or many of them, go in the direction of bringing together people that are passionate about very specific stuff, because that's how they can get great benefit, by being together with each other. And then we have a great need to use the internet to bring up clearinghouse for models, showcases of great examples of how things are done, of how people have acted and done great things before us, so that we can all be guides to each other when it comes to showing how we can achieve something. And then we need to bring up also the values of the elders. All these old people have great experiences, lots of time, great love to share with others, and we're not using them. And they would love to help out novices and beginners in learning more about whatever they have some experience on. They don't need to be experts at something. They can be coaches, they can be facilitators, and we need tremendously these type of educators, guides, which are not just teachers who come there to deliver a lecture. So we need some very, very special new type of environments, which the internet provides a wonderful, fertile ground to have them bloom, because all the possibilities for having skill exchanges, to peer with other people, to showcase great examples, to bring in old people which cannot easily move around, and to have educators and coaches and guides help others. It's all so easy to do over there that we need only to realize that's all we only need to drastically, deeply change learning. Because if in the 2.0 area, in the 2.0 world universe of sharing, collaborating, you have felt that this is the reality, why not extend it to the world of education and learning, just like samba schools do in the reality of Brazil's? You know, the Carnival of Rio, you know, there is this wonderful caravan of clubs of different schools that present their performances. But these schools are created during 11 months of work in a social club in which people of all ages go there and practice and play and instruct and do mini lectures to each other, exactly like we would want to do. So we have the real examples in life, we have the technologies, and we have the awareness, because we are experiencing these things, that learning doesn't need really to block 17 years or more of the best years of one kid's life to prepare him for the complexity, the unpredictable changes we're going forward to see. We need Samba schools online. We need all of this immediately. We need to put ourselves in the position also to become the guides. And so if you know something, you need to share it with others. And what is going to count is what you know and what you're able to share and what you contribute by writing, by producing work and showing to others, and disclosing your experiences online. You're already seeing this, and you've seen that degrees and their value when it comes to hiring new people are diminishing increasingly by the day. I myself, when I have to choose some people, I absolutely don't care what kind of studies they've done, because generally now they are not so flexible anymore in learning new things. That has been my personal humble experience, and I'm looking rather for what they have done. And no matter what they have done, I want to test them for 2 weeks, 2 months, and then I decide if these people can work. So it's what you can do, and whatever the reputation you build online or across what other people can say of you, that really counts. And so I go and call the people you've worked with, you've done things with, and I try to listen and understand what your value really is. I really don't care about those pieces of paper, and what I really need is the rise of some professional independent educators out there who want to share their knowledge without needing to be certified. Go out there and put out your video. You put out your reports, your PDFs, your blog, and help others learn by sharing what you know. It doesn't matter if you put ads on the side of it. What counts is the content. Give out something good. Give out to the bottom something where some of the other, your friends' kids can learn something useful for you. Go at it with the intention of providing some real value. If just some of us would take up this challenge, we would really be able to have a complete paradigm shift in how we look at teaching, education, and learning, and we can change it now anytime we want. Because in the end, if you look at it, and now what I have demonstrated to you, unless you really relate and love it, you can't really learn anything. So we have to harmonize this understanding in the physical reality. We have to bring our understanding that only by relating, exchanging, sharing, collaborating, asking questions, experimenting, we can learn something, not by sitting down and memorizing something.